Welcome back. We're here to recap UFC Fight Night Vegas 113. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification. Levi, take us away with our co-main event, Horiguchi versus Amir Albazi.
Yeah, honestly, overall, we are obviously covering the highlights of the main, but it was a pretty good fight night card for the Apex. We had some pretty good action in some of the prelim fights as well. Some pretty crazy things happening there. But Kyoji Horiguchi coming in, taking on Amir Albazi. I believe it was on short-term notice. He did have a fight coming up, but this one kind of got thrown in the mix, and it was an incredible performance from what people are now calling the Gooch, which I'm quite a fan of. It's a good
Mm.
nickname for him. But it was an absolutely incredible fight. Outclassed Albazi for 3 rounds, mixed in the grappling, showed him levels in the striking, using that, pointed karate stance, and really just outclassed him for the whole night. There was found out after the fight, he actually broke his hand in the first round,
Mm.
but he's just a dog, kept throwing with that same hand, I believe his right hand, and he kept throwing those power shots, and it was finding Amir. He even dropped him at a time in the fight, and overall, it was just a class performance. And I really cannot wait to see him go up against the likes of maybe a Royval, someone in that top five picture, and get him a title shot. What were your thoughts on that fight?
I think you said it best when you said Horiguchi and class, they need to be used in the same sentence. What an absolute machine. He's getting up there in age now, 35, getting to the upper echelons of his career towards the back end, but true class, outclassed Albazi pretty much everywhere. He couldn't get going. And that just seems to be the tail of the tape when it comes to, you look at Volkanovski versus Lopez the week before. Volk's just calm, composed, and class shows through again and again. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I want to see Horiguchi versus Royval next. I think that gets him into the title shot contention picture, and it also gives Royval that chance of redemption. He's just coming off a KO loss from Manel Cup, and Manel Cup versus Horiguchi a fair few years ago now. Horiguchi showed his class and schooled him back then. So I'd love to see that one run back in the future if not. But I think Manel Cup's probably next for the title shot against Joshua Van. So I'm going Brandon Royval versus Horiguchi. Book it now. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And we've got some fireworks coming up in the flyweight division. Obviously, you got Lona Kavanagh stepping in on short notice to take on Brandon Moreno. He was already in camp for a fight night a couple of weeks ahead of that. So it'll be good to see him at full fledged performance coming off of that KO loss from Charles Johnson. So hopefully, we see
Mm.
a Joshua Van type rebound and we see a short notice win over a high level opponent, as we did with Van and Royval. So it's going to be really exciting. There's a lot of history now with Horiguchi back in the mix, entering practically his second prime back in the
Mm.
UFC. And really, his only L was back in the day to potentially the flyweight goat, Demetrius Johnson. So just how good is DJ, right? It's
Mm.
it's incredible to see. Kyoji is just an absolutely incredible mixed martial artist. Seems like a very, very likable guy. And I think a lot of people are going to be riding the hype train of Kyoji Horiguchi, who may take the quickest run at the title in flyweight history. He's only 2 fights in, and he's already knocking on the door of the top five. I'd say that's a very good way to start your second run at the UFC flyweight title. But let's move on to the main event of the
100%.
evening.
100%, mate. We're
It's
going up 10 pounds to bantamweight division. Mario Bautista. What a performance. How did you see it go down?
mm, Mate, honestly, I in discussions with you off camera prior to this one, it pretty much played out picture perfect. I was very much of the opinion that Vinicius was not going to be able to take Mario anywhere.
Mm.
I was really surprised to see him initiating the grappling exchanges, given that Bautista gave Umar a run for his money. Yeah, he lost, but he made Umar gas, really. And, that's a very, very incredibly hard thing to do. So I was very confident Mario needs a win. He wants to bounce back against this up and coming contender. And that's exactly what he did. Vinicius couldn't hang with him in the grappling. He couldn't even get onto the stool in the second round, which made me 10 times more confident that, yes, he's going to gas. We'd seen previously, Vinicius does have some great knockouts, but he went to a very close split decision with Kyler Phillips because they both gassed out.
Mm.
So he relies on being a weight bully. He cuts a lot of weight to get to bantamweight, which, as we know, impacts your cardio. So in a 5 round fight, probably not ideal. We get to the second round again, and Oliveira initiates the wrestling. Mate, you're not Charles. You're a different Oliveira. And that showed. Mario hit a beautiful sweep, beautiful reversal, and hit one of the cleanest sequences of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu I think we've seen in recent history in UFC. He went from from the crucifix to side control with a Kimura grip, transitioned onto the back, and sunk in that rear naked choke. I think Bautista and Oliveira need to switch last names because that was a Charles Oliveira esque performance from Mario Bautista, winning performance of the night, very well deserved. And I liked his call out of Cory Sandhagen. That was his first fight in the UFC. He wants that L stricken from the record. He wants a W, but I also wouldn't mind a Song Yadong matchup. I think,
Mm.
as you and I have discussed after the fights, Song's coming off of an L against Sean O'Malley. He needs a good win. I think Batista needs a step up in competition as well, maybe on an Umar level. But Song definitely does have that judo background. He does have some grappling. The clinch exchanges in that fight would be, I think, a barn burner for sure. And for Vinicius, buddy, I think it's time to go to 145. I'll see you at the top with Gene Silver, buddy. I think that's where we'll see you in the next one. But what were your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, wow. It played out pretty much exactly how I thought it was going to. I've been super impressed with Bautista in his last couple of fights, especially the Umar fight. He put up a real good fight. His strategy was fantastic. The Nurmagomedov camp is one to be reckoned with. And, I thought Umar would win that fight, but he really threatened and he did gas out Umar. So I thought coming into this one, his experience and his level would just be too high for Oliveira. Was also very surprised that Oliveira did initiate that wrestling early. It didn't work out for him. He ended up on his back in the first round, trying to play a few leg lock games. And once again, that class and experience showed through from Oliveira. Did the back step over, was no danger with that heel hook early on. And then, yeah, honestly, they should switch last names. It's Batista de Bronx. That was one of the most flawless sequences I think I've ever seen in the UFC, and it's definitely gone on
Mm,
his highlight reel. What a way to end the fight. Um, yeah, what's next for Bautista, really? I think he's too good to be fighting anyone outside of the top 10. I'd like to
yeah,
see him jump up, just looking at the rankings now. Song Yadong, like you mentioned, he's in that top five, but he's a bit of a gatekeeper of your top five. He hasn't managed to beat the likes of, the champion Petr Yan or Sean O'Malley most recently. I think you got to give him either Song Yadong or Ayman Zahabi. Look, Zahabi hasn't fought in a little bit. They've all kind of, I think Bautista is a top five level fighter. I don't know if I see him getting to the title, but his way to the title is to beat someone like a Song Yadong or a Zahabi, ranked 5 and 6. It jumps him that step up in competition, which he has been able to get over that hurdle before. He just obviously hasn't beat the very top flight like your Umars and the current champ Petr Yan, and same with Cory Sandhagen. But yeah, I think that's got to be next for Bautista. What a performance. He's leveled up. You can tell he's doing the work. He wants to be in that top five. He wants to be the champ, and he's got the drive and the determination. If anyone can do it that's outside that top five in Bantamweight right now, it's a very, very stacked division. It's not going to be easy. Give him Song Yadong. I want to see it. I think that's the
absolutely,
fight. I think that is absolute fireworks. But yeah, some of his reversals and sweeps really showed how much he's leveled up since his last one and
absolutely.
since fighting Jose Aldo, where it was a bit of a split decision. People thought Aldo maybe won that one a couple of fights ago. But yeah, Vinicius, goodbye, buddy. You're off to featherweight.
Yeah,
It's clear across many divisions now that if you cut that much weight, it affects your cardio. If you don't get a
like
round one or
Taito
two,
Ivasa.
yeah, I mean that's a story for another day, but that's in its own
Yeah,
conversation right there. Just go and check out our other shorts. But yeah, the heavyweight problem. This is the flyweight or bantamweight problem, I should say. Vinicius Oliveira, up you go 10 pounds. I guarantee you it's going to increase your power and it's going to increase your cardio. You'll be able to make it out of the second round without gassing out. Because a lot of these finishes, as especially in the grappling, both of us grapplers ourselves, when you're exhausted you see the door. You see the light at the end of the tunnel with a cheeky little tap, and you go, I don't want to be here anymore. This sucks. Whereas when you're gassed and when you're winning, you can really grit through. So I think he needs to go up. He's shown he's got power in his hands. There's some great matchups for him in the division above. There's a couple of guys that are also coming off losses. maybe you give him a top 15 opponent to begin with. You either give him Patricio Pitbull or a Dan Ige. Let's see if he belongs. Let's see if he belongs in that
Yeah.
145 division. But yeah, Bautista definitely saved this card because there was a couple of fights in there that
Mm.
I think had a few boos from the crowd, but can't wait to see what's next for him.
Yeah, we don't have to touch on the heavyweight problem that is Jailton Almeida.
No.
I think that's a conversation for the PFL, and I
Yes.
can't wait to see his contract get torn up
Mm.
because I'm sick of hugging heavyweights and fat heavyweights.
I think
Bring Tom
the
Aspinall back, get the eye surgery done.
I think Dana Hunter and Sean Shelby need to have a big sit down, pull out the checkbook and go, how much are we going to afford to pay Ngannou to come back? You know, we need to get John
Yeah,
Jones back and we need Ngannou back just to really raise the level of this heavyweight division because right now it's the worst it's ever been. And it's a real shame
yeah,
because there's some pure talent in there and it can be turned around quickly with the right person at the figurehead, you know? So we'll see, but on to bigger and better things, eh? UFC 326 Oliveira versus Max Holloway isn't too far away now.
oh
Sure.
mate, counting down the days, and I'm sure our viewers are for our predictions on that one. That one's going to be fireworks. I'm very excited. It's a hard one watching two of your favorite fighters go head to head, but we'll be here to bring you all the action and coverage.
Unreal. Well, click the like button and subscribe, hit the bell notification, and we'll see you in the next one.